it doesn't sound right to me anymore because I've never heard anyone say that. It's a weird one. Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, Ballpark is a good one.
Bellend is one that I do like. I like Bellend. It makes a lot of sense. It's weird that we never adopted that in any form. I've never heard it.
It's always in conjunction with something else. It's always, could you shut up, Bellend?
It's great. I mean,
It's never used in isolation.
And we are live.
Yeah,
okay.
that's going to totally ruin the YouTube algorithm.
Oh, you couldn't hear it over the music.
I would fly
perfect.
you to the moon and back if you would be my baby. Hello, we are Pixel Pints. We are the only podcast that talks about two things that we enjoy, which is good beer and video games, and not dropping children down mountainsides. Well done, Evan. We are not here to promote drinking. Please drink responsibly. We're not here to promote in-game gambling, so please don't play FIFA Ultimate Team or Madden Ultimate Team. What else has got gambling in it still?
I mean, every other sports game. 2K.
Oh yeah,
Casinos.
NBA 2K, whatever the insert number. Don't play that either, and that's got ads as well as gambling. I mean, 2K is you're not, in my mind, you're not at Roblox levels of scumminess, but you're quite there. If there was any kind of form of child exploitation, you would have overtaken Roblox. You can follow us on social media at pixel_pints on Twitter to find out when we're going live and when we archive our previous episodes. And you can follow us at Pixel Pints Pod on Instagram to see pictures of beers and sometimes games. And yes, Liam, how's things with you?
Yeah, it's going well. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 all week.
Are you channeling your inner Michael?
I am, yeah. But I love that game anyway, so I don't mind. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time I've played it, so I'm quite used to it. I love that game. But I also saw Doctor Strange yesterday, and if you're going into it expecting a horror movie, don't. It's not a horror movie. Anybody that says that is just has a lot of great horror imagery and sort of I guess sort of pacing in places, but it's not a horror film. It's just another Marvel superhero film. Just more interesting to watch if you like horror, I guess.
Yeah, I want a nice supernatural Doctor Strangey Benedict Cabbage Patch movie.
How have I never heard that?
What, Cabbage Patch?
I've never heard Benedict Cabbage Patch before.
Oh yeah, Cabbage Patch is a theme, man. It's the Cumberbitches, it's the Cabbage Patches, it's
All right. It all makes sense the second it came out of his mouth. I just hadn't heard it before.
I mean, I'm a Cumberbitch, but that's just me.
What is a Tom? What is a Tom Hardy? Just a Hardy?
It's just a
hard on.
A Hardy.
Hardy boys.
Hardy.
I'm a hard on. Yeah.
The Hardy
You're
boys.
a Hardy boy.
I'm a Hardy boy. There you go. Okay.
Now go put someone through a table. That's when wrestling was fun.
It was, yeah, back in the day.
The Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian TLC matches.
Oh, you mean when they didn't get health insurance? Oh, wait, that's still today.
Yeah. Well, if you want to think of CEO scumbags, you've got Bobby Devil-horned bag of shite, Bobby Kotick, and then you've got Vince. I'm going to abuse all of my workers to make myself increasingly rich. McMahon. And then you've got NFL owners, and just I'm not wanting to be outdone by Mitch and just have something within arm's reach. I picked this up yesterday. It's a Junior Seau Funko Pop. Now I'm not an LA Chargers or previously a San Diego Chargers fan, but Junior Seau is a freaking amazing linebacker. And it's quite a tragic story that he discovered that he had CTE and blew his brains out.
And then donated it.
Yeah.
Well, no, he missed his brain purposely.
Yeah. Yeah, he killed himself.
He
shot
killed
himself in the heart, didn't he?
Yeah, he shot himself in the heart so they could
Yeah.
donate his brain to look into CTE because he thought he had it. He didn't get confirmed for it.
I thought he was suffering the symptoms, and
he was
they
suffering
said,
the
yeah,
symptoms. They just didn't confirm it until he donated it.
Sad. And that's why I don't begrudge any NFL player trying to gouge the team for more money. Because the owners aren't going to end up with chronic traumatic encephalopathy at the end of the day, are they? They just need money for their yachts.
Are you doing a politic?
I'm sorry. There's no politics in video games, is there? How dare Bungie put up a tweet to dare say that women's right to choose should be a woman's right to choose and nothing to do with the federal government? How dare Bungie? I'm going to do another politic. I hope you don't mind. So all of these pro-life people, I've got a question for you. I doubt anyone pro-life will watch this show or ever get in their ears. Maybe if I throw up a few good hashtags. How do you feel about free healthcare? So this person's got cancer. They can't afford cancer treatment. Do you want to give it to them for free so they don't die? No, you fucking hypocrites. Okay, that's me off my soapbox. Liam, how things with you?
I think you just asked me, didn't you?
Okay, I just...
No, I can tell you again.
Please do. You went to see Doctor Strange, and it was not a horror movie, and I do actually remember the conversation that we had.
He did take his one a day.
Mitch, how's things in LA?
Things are pretty good. I did also see Doctor Strange. My review is more of... It's on the list of one of my favorite Marvel movies, but it's also not a good movie. And I only say that because it takes some risks, and I appreciate for the risk it takes compared to some other Marvel films. So at least I put it on a higher pedestal than like 3/4 of the rest of the Marvel Universe films, because they all are just the same. And I think the shots that Sam Raimi do are really fascinating. Like, the camera work is really interesting comparative to other Marvel films. It's definitely unique. I love some of the sequences that they do to make it seem like horror, and there are some good jump scares. Like, I'll admit it, I got caught a couple times, but the writing is god awful. Like, the dialogue is so bad. We were laughing at the movie in the theater many times instead of laughing with the movie, or even at a moment you're not supposed to be laughing. But there's some really interesting stuff happening in the film that it's like a mixed bag. I probably wouldn't recommend people see it in a cinema, to be honest. It's not that good of a film. And they basically throw away a lot of what happens in WandaVision. Like, this entire film, she never mentions Vision at all. Like, how? Like, the whole part of that show was the relationship built upon the whole family, including the husband. And yet the entire film, it's only about the children. And how about in the multiverse? Where's Vision? Where's my husband? No, not one time was that mentioned. And it definitely suffers from what I've been really struggling with recently with a lot of Marvel films, is there's way too much CG and not enough practical stuff on set. Like, some of that is blatant bad green screen. And I know they reshot a lot of the film recently because the first screening went not very good. But it's really bad. In some instances, I swear the CG looks like a TikTok filter, and it's so bad. So I am just it's and the cameo. The spoilers aren't really spoilers, and they're not very good. I mean, there's a couple cool sequences, but to be honest, it's not. It's good, Mitch, but not good.
Would you mind explaining to everyone what TikTok is?
TikTok is a Chinese company. Just kidding. TikTok is this app where kids dance. So you may have seen your kids dancing on top of the mountain. You know, they were doing TikToks to try to be TikTok famous and try to make money. Some TikToks. Do your kids do TikTok? Your school kids?
We asked them to do a video project to imagine as if they were YouTubers. This is how far away I am from this. And they're like, fucking sorry, I swore. YouTubers, TikTokers, and then lots of kids. Great videos, by the way. They really did a really good job with their videos, but some interspersed whatever their theme was for their video with like TikTok stuff they do. I'm just like, you're never, if you're, when teachers feel so old every day, especially with teenagers, even at 36, you feel like you might as well be 52.
And with you guys, I
with
feel
what's going on.
you guys must feel older with me too. For everyone else that's not
Okay.
Evan that has little children around, you all must feel super old with me.
I think we should make a stand against Mitch. Mitch, when you turn 30, you are not allowed to mention how much younger you are than us. And as in Japan, and not today because I don't want to put anyone on the spot. As anything goes in Japan, rock, scissors, paper. That is like the be all end all to any decision in Japan, and no one second guesses it. It's fair amongst fair. You see kids, they'll jump for a ball. They'll grab the ball at the same time, and they're just looking at each other fiercely, and they'll do rock, scissors, paper, and whoever loses immediately just lets the ball go because it's rock, scissors, paper. It's as fair as. Whoever, if we win, you cannot talk about
This is what you do, Evan.
being younger than us
It's not rock paper scissors
anymore.
It's rock paper. It's rock paper scissors lizard Spock.
Oh no! Don't make a Big Bang Theory reference.
That's how it is. But I do imagine when you guys are in your 90s and we're doing this virtually or teleportation, whatever comes first, through this podcast, because we're also going to be doing this in our 90s. I swear.
Or when Mitch is 40 and he's bedridden for some reason with a VR headset on.
Mitch, have you seen the film Surrogates with Bruce Willis?
I've never even heard of it.
Watch it. It's not a good film, but it's fun to watch.
Oh, so it's like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That was like basically right before Bruce Willis just kept doing direct to DVD films, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like right at the tail end of that.
There's one absolute classic line in that made me think of it when Evan reminded me that you'd said, "Yeah, I'm just going to be lying on a bed with a VR headset on," and I won't spoil it. I want you to go and watch it and then pick the line out for yourself. Evan, how are things in Japan?
Good. Just off of Golden Week. The way Golden Week works is it depends on the year, where you could get a nice like week with 1 day of work and then 6 days off. But unfortunately, this Golden Week was all spattered about. So I worked and then went to Onomichi, Hiroshima, then went back to work. So a bit scatterbrained. You can kind of see a bit of the look at how white I am on this arm. This is for the video audience, and then a bit on this arm from cycling. But I'm good. I'm fucking tired. I fell asleep watching Reacher, which is pretty damn good. I'm glad they got someone that looks like how Jack Reacher is supposed to look, but I fell asleep because I was so tired from waking up at 6 a.m. But got a second win. Her Majesty wasn't happy. We were about to go to sleep, and then I saw Mitch was like, "I'll be ready in 10." I was like, and I looked up, I'm like, "I'm doing the podcast." She's like, "What? What? I think you're going to sleep." I'm like, "No. They're calling me." It's like the bat signal in the sky, all the way from Japan. So she's a bit she'll fall asleep angry maybe. We'll talk about it in the morning.
Adventures
but,
assemble.
Here I am.
It's like the guys need me.
Yeah.
They
Just
can't-
wake her up with breakfast.
They can't do the podcast without me.
Doing all right.
Right. Let's transition to beers. I'm assuming that at 7 o'clock in the morning, Mitch, you don't have anything interesting to talk about.
No, but I do have 2 really interesting beers for when we don't do a 7 a.m. show.
Good. Keep that in mind. Liam, how is your, I'm assuming, form of Robinson's fruit squash?
Yes. Wait. Taste test. Yeah, that tastes like water with fruit squash in it. That's great.
Nice.
Right. I saw this. Actually, Mrs. McWomble picked this one out. It's Lemon Days Cloudy Lemonade IPA. It's 6% ABV. That's what it looks like. It is cloudy. It's also flipping dangerous. 6% ABV. You'd think you were drinking shandy. This stuff's amazing.
Especially, out on a patio or a terrace. It feels like you're drinking lemonade. Yeah.
It's quite muggy here. You'd think you'd think you were drinking shandy, and it's 6%, and you'd smash about 3 of those and then get up to go back to the bar or go to the fridge and yep, I've definitely been drinking. If these are available in Waitrose supermarkets at the moment from Think Magic Brewery, I would absolutely recommend someone picking this up if you want something light and refreshing on a hot day. Just be careful not to have too many. Please drink responsibly. Later on, I have, from the same brewery I was talking about last week.
Oh, wow, they do nice cans.
Yeah, the can art is absolutely brilliant. Ansbach and Hob Day.
That. Okay, I do have to ask out of curiosity. So, like in America, when we said "get the fuck out, British," basically,
I'm sure it was more polite than that.
Yeah, it was way more polite than that. But yeah, death is way more polite than saying "get the fuck out." But so we have like very iconic American style paintings. Like we have the one George Washington with all the boats and him standing on the edge of the boat with the American flag.
Oh, we have propaganda here as well.
Yeah, what's yours? Is that one of your like iconic images on that can or no?
No. This is just a depiction of a bar scene, and I'm assuming it's going to be a German
beer hall.
Okay.
Beer hall.
I just saw the stripes above, and I thought, oh, is that icon? Is that like a?
There's a dude there in lederhosen.
No. The stripes in the air in the.
Yeah.
So I just assumed, like, my assumption was, oh, is that like based off the stripes of the British flag? Because you have they have the red X's.
I assume that's a fact truth. So,
but
thank God they're not
taking German beer because this is a Rauschbier.
But on your on Discord, you'll have to share me your propaganda. I want to see it.
We've got tons of this. British Museum's full of it, and other people's shit as well. We've stolen so much stuff over the centuries.
Propaganda now.
From Egypt.
Yeah. I mean, we stole the Native American shit, so like I get it.
Yeah, Indiana Jones, instead of saying it belongs in a museum, he said it belongs in my museum. Coincidentally, right? That's fair.
Instead of it belongs where it came from. God damn it! And then you can put it on a.
That just doesn't. It doesn't have the same ring to it, Mitch.
It belongs
from where it came from.
It doesn't ring because it does have the word "my" in it.
Yeah. How is that beer? Or no, that's for later.
No, that's
right?
for later.
That's for later. It is this version, this London brewery's version of a classic German Pilsner. Oh wow. Really, really woody.
Wait, you already opened it?
Yeah, why not? Screw it.
You're gonna go double fisting beers?
Oh, this is Why the hell not? It's a Saturday. I haven't got work tomorrow. Just got Doctor Strange. It's a dark beer. I thought it was the other one. More for me. Oh well.
Oh, and unfortunately, America Chavez was wasted in that film.
Look at that.
Very pointless.
That is dark.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is the.
Looks like coffee.
That is the coin. It's not got a coffee hint to it. It's more like a really strong barbecue flavor.
Oh,
so if you leave meat on char for a really long time, it kind of picks up that really smoky, woody flavor.
Yeah,
that's what that tastes like. This is like having a smoked brisket in a pint.
Now, my question would be: would you use it in a marinade?
That would be a wrong use of this beer. You very well could, but I wouldn't do this.
Okay.
This is quite possible.
How is a Pilsner that dark though? Is that a Pilsner or is it not a Pilsner?
It's the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
So it's not.
Sorry, you had said that.
They did two. I picked up the dark beer rather than the pilsner, thinking it was the pilsner.
Oh.
So
You got a Woody
Yeah,
surprise.
very woody surprise. They must age this in I don't know, bourbon barrels or something like that to get it this woody flavored.
I don't know if you caught this on camera. I'll have to look back. But a spider literally went right in front of me.
Oh, really?
And I
did not get.
I was like, what just flew down? and then I had to kill it. Sorry. Okay, good.
Oh man,
I don't know if I killed it. Oh.
Evan, another one that you'd really like, and it's literally the most juxtaposed that you would get from all of your IPA adventures that you keep going on.
Yeah, it is one of those things in Japan. Just like the hazy IPA wave must end. As much as I like it, and I'm just starting to lean towards things that are not that, just because it's so full on, and in the supermarkets as well, all the shelf space is dedicated to IPAs, and it would be nice to have a bit more of a variety. So
It's
yeah,
actually got
that
a
would be
slight bacony
appreciated.
flavour to it. It's like smoked bacon.
It sounds like a kind of a smoky, complex, dark beer, which I do like from time. I couldn't have two in a row of that, but that
Oh no,
is definitely a beer that I would like to have.
All right,
it's
Evan.
totally ruined the flavour of the lemonade one. Evan, what have you got?
Oh, we can skip on. I'm
Here
having
in
my
Ishiban
old.
Shibori.
Yes, yeah, there you go. Yeah, the Ichiban Shibori. I didn't have anything set up for today because I didn't think I was going to be on. So yeah, just drinking the usual. It's good. The Pilsner. It's easy to drink.
Before we get to the topic, I do have one question for the British fellas here in our UK fellas. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. How's that case going?
I love the memes.
Oh yeah.
I think my favourite one is Amber Heard and Beaker from the Muppets.
Oh yeah, that was really funny.
I haven't followed any of it. Even all I've seen is headlines on social media. Amber Heard taking a shit in the bed and going to Coachella. Johnny Depp drinking too much and being abusive. All it's doing is making them both look somewhat psychotic.
I will say the lawyer for Amber Heard is kind of stupid.
Yeah,
They injected themselves by accident.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people in the UK following it. I could not give a shit.
I've gotten quite addicted to it, unfortunately. So much so that I'm watching it when I'm working.
Oh my god! I'm not watching it live, but I'm like TikTok. Like TikTok is giving me all the highlights, and so I just constantly watch the highlights on TikTok. I'm just being like, oh my god, this sounds ridiculous. Or like I covered my face with this makeup. This makeup was made 3 years after. It's like
I think I was just saying that one of two things will happen with the trial. Either Johnny Depp is a terrible, awful, like literally one of the worst people ever in the history of ever, or Amber Heard is just lying and he's just I don't know, a typical human being who has a few problems but isn't abusive.
I'd say the one good thing about all of this is that I haven't seen that stupid fucking aftershave adverts for Sauvage.
They're still on. Like they were the only brand that didn't drop them.
Yeah, well, they're not getting shown on TV here. Thank God, because
I saw one in the cinema about a month and a half ago.
If ever a reason other than COVID not to go to the cinema, it would be to avoid seeing that advert. Are you ready to transition to our actual topic this week?
Yeah. Yes, I am actually.
Good. Evan, would you like to introduce the topic that you suggested?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for this, but we're just going to talk about things in games that we love.
Oh,
sorry. How do we word this? Things in.
You want me to do it for you? Would that help?
Yeah, actually, yes, I would actually. Thank
Okay,
you,
so Evan
McWomble.
suggested us talking through the 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 flaws in games that we absolutely love, and whether or not we are overlooking the flaws because we love the game, or if the flaws add to the charm. Is that about right?
More succinctly than I was attempting to put it, yes, that is it's exactly what we're supposed to be talking about.
Would you like to start, or should we go somewhere else first?
I still don't understand what the topic
I
is,
need a
to be
couple.
honest.
Oh shit.
The
Okay,
floors? What do you
Okay,
mean
so
by the floors? I think more people would be confused. Oh,
flaws
flaws.
in games.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Never mind. Okay.
So basically, like, all we're doing is looking at the games that we truly love. So for you, Mitch, it would be something like Resident Evil. Look deep inside that game that you love so dearly, or the franchise, or a specific game in the franchise. What is one thing about that franchise that drives you nuts?
Got
Or is
one.
a flaw that otherwise it'd be a perfect game, but this specific thing, I can't pass this up. I can't look past this. I can't um make excuses for the specific mechanic or story part or whatever of this game type of deal.
So, Evan, are you going to be talking about weapon degradation a lot?
Maybe I need to
Maybe.
compose myself a bit,
Weapon
so I'll let someone else.
degradation.
I still have that on my phone, by the way. Do you guys want to hear it?
You want to
Just
hear
kidding.
about the flaw? Play the video.
Yeah.
Get your guitar out and write a song about it, or shut up. So,
Fair enough.
Liam, how would you like to kick us off?
Well, I can't mention any Naughty Dog games because right at the top of my list is like The Last of Us Part 1 and 2.
You can do it. That's fine.
No,
It's
no, no,
fair
no,
game.
no. No,
It's
Mitch,
fair game.
Mitch,
It's fair game.
I'm going to avoid the topic for two reasons. Because one, your employers are definitely listening in, and I don't want Naughty Dog ninjas coming after me. Two, I don't want to have to come up with flaws for these games because it would be really hard. From my personal
We come up with flaws all the time about these games when we talk
I don't
about
agree
them.
with them, though.
Can I come up with a flaw about The Last of Us Part 1?
What is it that she runs in front of you?
Yeah. It really, really dragged me out of any sense of immersion, is that you've got this person running backwards and forwards between cover the whole time, and no one is even recognizing their existence. I understand why they did it from a gameplay perspective, but me playing it, I can't switch that part of my brain off that thinking, this is wrong.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that is talked about. Is
Yeah,
And
it is everyone's in agreement with, and Keith, it's you're right on the thing. It's like design wise, that's why they did it, but also at the same time, like they know they had to sacrifice that too. So it's like, oh crap, that sucks.
Well, the game that I was going to choose, that I can criticize, that I love dearly, is Final Fantasy X, which has become so meme worthy at this point. It's like quite fun to talk about.
Now you lost Keith because you mentioned the double F word, Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. Well, I'm sorry, Keith, but
fucking
Final Fantasy.
fallacy. There we go. There you go. Double F.
It's just Final Fantasy.
There you go.
10. It's a contradiction, and that's why it will be around forever.
Sorry. The
What's
ha 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 ha.
Yeah, there's many more too. But I love that game.
Well, Liam, is your specific thing the voice acting, or is there another element that bothers you about that?
Not really, because some of the voice acting can be quite bad. But for a 2001, was it 2001? I think it was 2001. Yeah, for a 2001 game, the voice acting was great. Like when it came out, I think it's either 2001 or 2003. Can't remember which.
On Google.
Yeah, it's on Google. But the point still is that when the game came out, the voice acting was pretty great. And other than that laughing scene,
2002.
which is actually quite emotionally resonant within the context of the game, other than that, it doesn't have too many moments of bad voice acting, especially compared to a lot of other Japanese games of the time.
Technically,
where bad voice acting was pretty much standard.
yeah,
It is, isn't it?
In your country, it was 2002.
2002. Okay.
Final
Right.
Fantasy
20 years
VII
ago.
Remake Part 1.
Mm.
Huh?
Yeah, the
Don't you talk to
pause
me,
with
boy. Whatever. I don't even remember.
Metal
any-
Gear.
Even remember any lines from playing that demo. It's just so god awful and just reminded me why I despise JRPGs.
which one?
Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's cool.
You can't.
Hey, don't,
I take
McWomble, don't give it credit. It's called Final Fantasy VII Remake? Is it even in the name?
Yeah, it
No.
is.
It's
Yeah,
called a
remake.
remake.
Oh, okay.
Yes, which is
At
why
least they gave it that.
I
You
take
know,
umbrage
Keith,
with people forgiving it for not being called Part 1. Because, yes, it is a
Yeah.
complete game and contained within itself, but it is not a total remake of the whole thing.
Mm.
So it can't be a full remake because you only remade part of the game that you were remaking.
you know, I always avoid bringing it up, Keith, whenever you mention that, because the title remake actually has a separate connotation than it actually being a remake. Or like, say the sequel won't be remake part 2 or have some other subtitle, but remake actually has a sort of double meaning in that game. Interestingly enough. uh,
What they could remake the game and make it better.
well, unfortunately, it would take me about 20 hours to explain exactly,
Yeah,
what it means.
Mitch in the same
I mean,
amount of
we
time
can talk
still.
about it if you like.
No, it's fine. Honestly, it's all good. Mitch in the same amount of time could explain the Heartless and all that other bollocks from Kingdom Hearts, and I still wouldn't
I
understand.
gotcha.
So is it just specifically that one scene that just brings down your enjoyment of that game?
No,
Game that shouldn't be named.
not at all. That I don't even dislike that scene. Like,
Wait a minute. Is this in the spirit of the topic, Liam? What are we doing
no,
here?
you just haven't given me a chance to mention what I actually dislike about the game yet. That's why
Oh,
everybody
please.
sees that scene and they pick up on that scene and go, "That's why that game's bad." But, well, not bad, but just not for them or something like that. The problem with the game to me is it's sort of like that part of where Square Enix sort of lost the plot a little bit and started going story, 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 to the point where it takes like 20 hours for you to get to the actual game, because it's like walking you through a tutorial for the first 20 hours and constantly breaking up the action with cutscenes, which has only pretty much become worse since then, I would say. Like, in terms of modern JRPGs, like, that game's probably less egregious than most of the things that have come out afterwards, I would say.
So you saying Square Enix lost the plot, assumed that they had one to start with.
Square Enix made great games back in the day.
Yes,
Like,
and also
countless.
the sense of irony about Square Enix losing the plot in recent light of them selling off pretty all of their Western studios.
Well, I remember, Keith, like back when Final Fantasy X came out, they didn't have any Western studios. They hadn't even bought Eidos at that point. Eidos.
IDOS. So, Warren, what do you hate about the game? Come on. Cut to the
What I
chase.
hate about the game, like I said, is how long it takes to start. I'd also say that I hate how hard it is to get other people into the game, because it's sort of like when you don't understand where it's going, and the game just throws so many things at you, and you're like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? It's like because it takes it takes a lot to get into the actual meat of the experience, to the point where I can't like be against anybody for saying, yeah, this is not for me. Like, play it for 20 hours and they're still not into it, and I'm like, yeah, I understand, but if you get far enough into it, you will enjoy the game probably. But as a prerequisite, that's just not a good excuse. Like when you're trying to recommend the game to somebody.
Wait, Liam, are you saying that Final Fantasy X was actually the first Final Fantasy 13 insofar as the classic 15, 20 hours into the game it gets good?
Kind
It's
of.
not.
It was sort of the precursor to that, I'd say. But I it's a far better game than those games, because you
Oh
actually
God,
have
Final Fantasy 13 is
Yeah,
hallway.
because it
20
actually tells a
hours, yeah.
cohesive plot that you don't have to go onto the
Yeah.
wiki to understand shit, and like and has understandable characters and whatnot. But I'd say one of the other things that really bugs me about the game is I guess some of the just the interruptions through everything. You're sort of getting into the gameplay, and then it interrupts you with another cutscene that takes like 10 minutes, and you feel like you're finally getting somewhere. The game has quite bad pacing, especially early on, and it can be rather laborious at times.
Fair enough. I mean, I really like the game, but yeah, I suppose it does takes a while to get you to ramp up into the
Yeah.
story.
Have none of you played it other than Evan? I assumed Mitch had probably played it.
I've only gone like 4 hours in and I quit.
Okay.
Oh man, it is a really good story, by the way.
13.
It is.
I know.
I
I know the
personally
plot.
think it's the best story out of all of them.
I mean, I know the plot of it, so like I'm not gonna get surprised plot wise. And then I played maybe like 5 to 7 hours of 13, and I hit an incursion that I couldn't get past, and so I just stopped. And I regret it. And I regret it because I really, and I tried to jump back into it, and then I felt like maybe I shouldn't. But I think I might hop back into it once I finish Horizon. So it's been
Go play something else. Play something better.
Well, 13's combat system is really enjoyable once you get further down the line.
Wait, are you talking about 13? Not
I'm
10,
talking about 13. I'm not talking about 10.
Fuck that game.
You lost Liam. You lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably never go.
something better, man.
I'll probably never go to 10. I'm not a fan of the old school turn-based system, and I know 13 is, but 13 is a little bit more nuanced with the paradigm shifts that happen throughout the game, so it allows you to switch strategies instantaneously and all that kind of stuff. So I think there is more to it for me that is more engaging in a turn-based system comparative to just doing 10. Because if I want to play 10, I'm literally just gonna like find a way to like play it at like 10 times the speed and then just burst through it that way. I might as well just watch the cutscenes, to be honest.
Well, the problem with like it's the same problem as ever. Like, is that the sphere grid, which is like basically the combat system, is very like complex and interesting and really cool and fun, but it takes 20 hours before you understand why it's so compelling. Well, probably even more, to be honest. Not 20 hours. It's more like bloody 40 hours.
So you're not helping your case to help me get back into it.
No, well,
every sentence, you are slowly bringing McWomble further into purchasing this game.
Well, my job.
40 hours, you said.
In the more you talk, the further
criticize
Sam Raimi is bringing out a monster that drags me down to hell closer and closer.
Great film, by the way. I love that film.
What,
Yeah.
Drag Me to Hell? It's quite quite good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
The ending was fascinating. I was like, whoa.
There were no weird,
the ending
weird
is one of
lamb
the best
babies
parts.
or anything in it, so it can't be that good, can it, Evan?
Yeah.
Mitch, I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested. I was kind of casually interested as soon as Liam said visual fantasies. In what your game that or franchise that you love that has an element that you'd hate. I'm also keen to say, because what I put in the tweet, if any of you actually fucking read it, and just didn't retweet it straight away. Is it because you love it that you're overlooking the flaws, or is it because you love it that you can see the flaw more clearly?
It's up to me.
Well, go to Liam first because it's his game, and then mine is. I'll tell you after.
Yeah. So Liam, if you would talk about facile Finalia 10 more, because I just love to hear about it.
Sorry, fecal finalia. Just
I would say it has a lot to do with nostalgia. In my case, because I played the game when I don't know, I was like 8 or 9 probably for the first time. Got stuck countless times, restarted the game countless times, and then beat it eventually. And have played it multiple times since. So when I see certain things that people would consider very old, I find that nostalgic. So I'm sure that has a very big reason in why I find the game easy to deal with compared to other people. It's like the same thing. It's like if you grew up on Final Fantasy games like 7 and 8, or so on, you find them easy to go back to. But if you didn't, like certain people from my generation, I was lucky enough to play all of the older games before I got onto 10. So I could still go back and play them fine. But a lot of people that I grew up with, like 10 was their first game, so they'd play 10 and think, oh, this is great, and then go back and play the old games and be like, no, I can't play this. And then the generation that came after would feel exactly the same way about 10 that they would feel about the earlier games than that. So I think nostalgia has a big sort of makes a big difference on how you view certain games.
Mitch, nostalgia is a thing that Evan and I feel, maybe Erebus Jones, because we're old.
And Dan.
Dan's not that much older than you, actually. So Dan only feels nostalgia for his hairline. Love you, Dan.
Oh, ouch! Shots fired when you won't even tell it to his face.
I don't think Dan. He doesn't give a shit.
Dan will recover.
He'll laugh. I'm hoping that he would laugh at that. And I'm also hoping that Dan gets tickets to go and see Green Bay versus the New York Football Giants at Tottenham Hotspur, and we can cheer on Evan's man crush, one of them.
Well, it was unfortunate because the Bears could have played them, and that would have been a more interesting game because I would try to get a flight.
Yeah, it'd be like a derby, right? As you say.
Right, Mitch. What is your game?
It is a Resident Evil 2, fellas. It is not only the original, but the remake. And for two similar but yet different reasons. Resident Evil 2, the original, amazing game, great game. But my biggest issue, and I only know this because I am a big fan, and I this one I can actually prove with evidence that like it would only make sense because I'm a fan. Is that one of the greatest parts about Resident Evil 2 is it has technically you can play the game 4 times, four different ways, and it creates 2 complete separate storylines. Now here's the issue. When they released the game, it came out with a disc 1 and a disc 2. Now, after the game was released and all that kind of stuff, the director said, the way to play this game, to get the real story, the plot that is canon, you must play disc 2 first, then disc 1 second. What is an issue with that, fellas? The issue is a vast majority of the people first won't even know that there's 2 complete different playthroughs of the game because they'll just play disc 1, disc 2, and they'll be done with it. But the other thing, well, actually, I guess not, because at the end they do save the file and say Claire A, which then might people think to do A. But anyways, it doesn't even say Claire disc 1. It should say Claire disc 1 and Claire disc 2, whatever. But anyway, oh no, that would make no sense. Anyways, they justified it, I guess. But anyway, where I'm getting at is literally people have played the wrong plot line for Resident Evil as their first time playing this game. They played Leon first and Claire second. You're supposed to play Claire first and Leon second. That is a huge issue. So then that's really? Yes, it was.
I've always played Leon first. So.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
the canon is Claire 1, Leon 2, because the canon is Sherry gets infected by the G virus by her dad, and you as Claire need to get the cure and cure her. And then Leon is, and then in disc 2 with Leon, Ada doesn't get shot by Sherry's dad. Instead, Mr. X throws her into the system that causes the countdown, and she is left there to die basically. But then she comes back and gives you a rocket launcher. But anyway, I know you're so lost, but you wouldn't be lost.
Flowchart.
See, you wouldn't be lost only if they freaking told you which is the correct one and put it in the right order in the first place. So that's one. That's one gripe. Amazing game, but that is my one biggest gripe with that franchise. Now, let's go to the remake, because this is even more fascinating. So when they first made the game, they said, oh, we're not going to do two separate storylines. Like, it'll be the same game. You can just choose what character you want. The unfortunate part about that is, guess what, fellas? The original had two separate storylines. So people got upset, as they should, as I did. And then they said, okay, well, we'll fix that, which I'm happy they did. But there is an issue here, fellas. The cutscenes are still the frickin' same. And so when you put the two separate, you may start at a different place and you get like a cutscene that is different slightly. They do not make sense when you put them together. And I literally, when I reviewed this game on my old YouTube channel, I literally told people on my spoilers, like, here's two things you had to do and you could have fixed it. It literally is, you can still have the fights. Mainly what the difference is, that is the big like congruent differences that really make it confusing, is you do the same boss battles. But what is interesting and what you could have done is, because Sherry's dad, who is the main villain that contracts with the G virus, he basically transforms as you battle him throughout the game. And even when you do the separate storylines, you face off against different forms of him throughout the game. All they had to do was like add an extra scene in one of them where they made his transformation slightly different, so that it felt like as if you were continuing throughout the entire storyline. Because there's only two sequences that are exactly the same, which is the first fight when you fight Sherry's dad, when he has the pipe in his hands,
a giant pipe.
Yeah, and like when you face him the first time, he falls off. Well, you could have just did a cutscene where he climbs back up and then transforms again and faces the second player for the second run. And then the second time around is, I wouldn't even have him on it for as the final boss in the second one, because you fight Mr. X anyway. So like that would have solved all your issues. There's just like so many things where I'm just like, oh my God, why? It makes no sense. So yeah, for me, that is the thing that pulled RE2 from being the most perfect remake ever made in the history of video games. It probably is the best remake in video games, but it's not perfect. And I wished it was perfect, and that is what did it for me. So congruent storylines, just weirdly done, but amazing that they do them. And I wish games did that more.
I feel you, Mitch. I remember when I played that game, I was like, this is so awesome, but at the same time, I'm like really disappointed with how much content they cut out, some of the weird choices they made. You know, I was like, it's like this game is so good, and so they missed the mark on so many important things.
Oh, I don't think they missed the mark on the gameplay sections. I think where they cut is great.
But my point was, and then I kind of forgot about most of it when I played Resident Evil 3, because I have way more problems with that one. So, you know.
See, I like 3. I like the dodge mechanic in 3. I think the mechanics are way better in 3 than 2.
Well, you see, the original Resident Evil 3 was my favorite Resident Evil game, and some of the cuts they made to that game pissed me off.
Now, I can agree with you in the concept of, I think 3 definitely had a lot more cut and didn't need to be cut, whereas in 2 I like where they trimmed the edges of the game a little bit. And I think in some ways they actually improved it more, whereas in 3 I just think mechanically the game is better, but like the rest of it is it is like a slimmed down version. What's that, Dragon Ball Z Kai version of Resident Evil 3, unfortunately. I know
definitely more streamlined.
I know Keith is probably all in space land.
Totally lost.
He's totally lost. He has no idea what's happening.
As well.
I've no idea what you guys are talking about.
Oh, if I had my PS1 games with me, I don't have them all here yet. I would have pulled it out and showed
You don't have them next to you? What are you
No, I would
what's
have
going on,
I would have
Mitch?
showed you
That's not
disc
you.
1 and
Yeah.
disc 2 and would have pointed and given
Yeah.
you visuals. Keith, I
Come
would have
on
given
now.
you visuals. I know you're getting there. You need the
I'm not
visuals.
angry. I'm just disappointed. Evan,
Um,
at 1
I'm
minute past
disappointed
midnight
in.
in Japan.
I love how it's his own topic and he still can't think of. Do you remember what made
I
you
got
think
it.
of the example?
I think initially it was actually Breath of the Wild, but I've changed it.
But weapon degradation.
Weapon degradation. um,
Her Majesty's
Yakuza
like, what is
series.
going on over there?
I'm guessing she's sleeping. Hopefully, I haven't woken her up. I am going to complain about the Yakuza series, and
Cut the show off. Cut it off right now.
just fucking shut it.
And on
Fuck-
that note,
fuck everything.
Podcast is over. The Discord is getting shut down.
Just yeah,
Who is this
Um,
guy? And what's he done with Evan?
yeah. I don't know. Look, the room has changed slightly. Like it's a
A
simulation.
new mic, a
You're in
new
mirror
man.
universe.
Yeah.
New
trying
mic
to
stand, new
pretend
chair,
to
new
be-
man.
I'm trying to pretend to be whatever the fuck Evan is. Dude, it's really hard to try to for an AI to figure out what the fucking Evan is. It's that guy's fucking fucked.
Are you Evan from the mirror universe, like in Fringe? Good TV show, by the way.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
Never watched it, but I heard good things. It's like the second wave of kind of X-Files, right?
It's a slow
Yeah.
it's a slow burn in the first season, but really once you start getting into mirror dimensions and basically alternate universe, it's so fascinating.
So what you're saying is Fringe is the first series to do the multiverse? The very
Basically.
first?
Well,
No one ever
because,
did before?
Star Trek did that in the 1960s, and I'm pretty sure
Twilight Zone, maybe? I don't know.
Twilight Zone did
yeah.
did something similar as well.
Something did it as well.
So the Yakuza series. Here's my main point with it. There's an old Jimquisition episode that Sterling does about how the Kamurocho, which is a section of Tokyo it's a fictional kabuki-cho, where it's more compact is better. That they kind of compartmentalize it. It's not as expansive as your GTA games, and that's in its favor because it kind of squeezes everything together. You get to know the space more intimately. It's easier to get into a car to drive from one area to the other. You can just walk there, and through walking from like point A to point B with the main quests, you'll just naturally run into side quests. And so this whole kind of smaller fake area, probably the only reason they made it so small is because they didn't have the money that like a Rockstar did to build this expansive area did.
Well, it's
as
also
they did.
it's not as dense as Kamurocho is way more dense in regards to content that you can do in the area than even Grand Theft Auto. I mean, to be fair.
Oh, totally. And I think they've made it work in their favor. Like that could be a negative point to it, but they've made it work in their favor so much where they just built the entire game around it, and it just works that way. I know McWomble will most likely disagree. However,
Oh, looks like
I've
he
played-
agrees.
oh, okay, great. I love it.
like the
Yakuza
fact-
Zero.
I
Okay,
like
go
the
ahead.
fact that
Oh.
it was condensed. I also like the combat. I really
you
don't
do.
like this. I really don't like the storytelling. I think that the pacing is off. The fact that in Yakuza Zero they used 3 different styles of cutscenes to tell the story was just bizarre. But the thing that I found most bizarre about Yakuza Zero is that you go from this multi-stage fight with loads of Yakuza henchmen and one mini boss, where you would punch him in the face through a glass ashtray and then you'd go out into the streets and you'd lose a fight with a guy because he's a bit big.
Oh yeah, he's a bit big. What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
yeah,
You just punch
beat him.
them. You just punch
Against
the guy
that.
through an ashtray, smashing the ashtray with your fist. But this guy's a bit big, so you can't beat him up.
I mean, later in the series, you also fight a chimpanzee that's operating a bulldozer. So I don't know where you want to go with being
Realism.
uh,
Realism.
with
Sky
realism.
Commons.
But that's the thing. Like the pendulum, I argue that the series gets away from it because it plays its cards pretty quickly in every single game of how ridiculous the game swings from the most ridiculous anime tropey, just those types of things to the most melodramatic Yakuza story you've ever heard type of thing. But what I'm actually specifically going to talk about is Kamurocho or Kabukicho from Tokyo is the main location, the main setting of most of the games. And then slowly, when they got more money to make more games, they've branched out to specific locations in Japan. And the only location out of like some of the biggest cities in Japan that they've never touched on is fucking Kyoto. And that pisses me off because I would love for a modern Yakuza game, my favorite series of all time, to be placed in the city where I live, to where I could actually, it's like when Matt Kyle talked about San Francisco and um, Watch Dogs 2, right? Like, and the journalists and stuff that work for GameSpot and IGN and that, like they
Same
live
thing
in San
happened a bit with
Francisco.
Watch Dogs Legion here. So people were, who was it? Outside Xbox did a whole video of I'm going to go to somewhere where I know in Watch Dogs Legion and see if it's there.
And that's
it was.
cool. Like, yeah. And that's neat. Whether or not the game like stacks up in its totality to being a good game or whatever. That's neither here nor there. The main point for me would be like it would be so cool because I know the city so well now. I've lived here for 10 years. It would be nice. It's like they're just like constantly jumping. It's like the Midwest in the States, right? And Bill Burr always makes fun of how like the entirety of America completely just does not care about the middle of the country. It's all like the coastal cities. And like the forgotten Midwest, like the states that grow all the food that they transport to every other state type of thing. But like Kyoto's a city of 1.4 million people, and like there's plenty. It's big enough. Like Kamurocho itself is so small. They could totally pick a section of Kyoto and put it in a game. And in Yakuza 5, there's several locations in that game. I believe there's Nagoya, there's Hokkaido, there's Fukuoka. So they have had several locations in a single game. They could totally do it. I will say for anyone that's like, excuse me, Miss Clements, you forgot to give us homework. Technically, there was one of the games that is never released in English, Ryuga Gotoku Ishin. It takes place during the Meiji Restoration.
that one.
It does take place in Kyoto. Oh, yeah. Oh, see, McWomble, you know what you're talking about. It takes place in Kyoto, but it's like it's during the Meiji Restoration, and I'm walking around places in Kyoto, and
That doesn't count.
it doesn't count. It doesn't count. I want to
So,
be able
Evan,
to walk around
I've got some
modern
questions
Kyoto.
for you then. I want some details. So, what elements of the Yakuza games would you like to see recreated in a Kyoto setting? Is it just hostess bars? Is it just cat cafes? Is it just women standing on street corners handing out tissues for no goddamn reason?
Cafes. Evan, it's definitely not cat cafes. Evan doesn't like cafes.
There's a cat cafe everywhere. Dude, there are so many fucking stray cats in Onomichi. It was quite disturbing to me. I didn't see a dog in sight. All these cats. It's ridiculous. This country's
I'm glad you didn't
racist.
drop a child down a hillside. So there is that.
It's the most frightening
You
thing
just
I've
give him
done
a,
in
you just have to
my-
give him a
my
cat
life.
first. It's all better.
Let the cat fall.
No, drop the child and then give the cat to the child as a present, being like, "Here, I'm sorry I dropped you. And they're like, oh, it's okay. I got a cat.
I hope by saying dropping child, they're dropping from maybe several centimeters versus like meters
Rolling down the
on
mountain.
this rock.
They'll
Because their head
be
is gonna
rolling
crack
down the
open like a
mountain
can
when
of
they
cantaloupe.
come.
That was frightening to me, by the way,
Hmm.
having the responsibility of making sure a child doesn't fall off these rocks. But
Well, you're responsible for shaping children's lives every day, Evan.
Dropping them builds
oh
character.
man, teacher, I wake up every day and I have one of the most important job. I can't even say it with the fucking straight face. I can't even say it without laughing.
What you
My
need
job
to
is very serious.
what you need to say is like, I'm trying to shape your child to not be the giant wimp. So when I drop them, I tell them, shake it off, you'll be fine, and then they don't be a wimp. Just kidding. Don't do
Swift
that.
had said, "Shake it off,
Shake it
What
off.
is
shake it off, a woohoo." Okay,
Well,
so sorry,
You
McWomble,
just
back to your
ruined my intro
question.
for the next show. So what? Yeah, what? Yeah, what? Other than oh goddamn, why can't they just do a game in Kyoto? Is there anything specific that you would like to see that is Kyoto centric?
I would appreciate a bit of satire with kind of Kyoto itself, where the general kind of idea of the outside looking in on Kyoto is a bit hoity-toity, a bit when we're the old capital. This is where Tokugawa Ieyasu, one of the first shoguns of Japan, this is where he lived, and we're so special, and we have geisha and blah 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 blah. I would like to see them kind of poke fun at those aspects of Kyoto through side quests, which I think would be really really fun. And like, it doesn't matter where you live, everyone would get it. Even people who live in Kyoto or otherwise would say like, okay, yeah, they're taking pot shots at us, but it's fun, and we're just happy to be walking through the streets of the city that we're from, or at least we know very well. Well, they're making fun of us, type of thing. So I just hope at some point in the series, because they keep adding different locations with Kamurocho. Most recently with Yakuza 7, or what was it called in the States? The Light in the Dark. They added Yokohama. I just hope at some point they throw it in there, even if it's for a couple chapters, that they can just, I don't care, make fun of it. People from Kyoto are full of shit. They think they're so special because it's got all this history and all these temples and shit, although Japan does kind of, there's a version of the onion in Japan called the rising wasabi, and it's only funny to people who live in Japan, but it was like there was one classic article headline that said Japan gets it over with and names the entire country a World Heritage Site because so much of it is. So like some of those types of pot shots at Kyoto would be appreciated by me. Because and then I'd look around and be like, "Oh, it's funny because I live here." That's what I would say.
So, Evan, do you have any criticisms for the Yakuza franchise that are for what something it actually does rather than something it hasn't done?
Yeah, Evan.
That's a good question, Liam.
You're-
Obviously, I'm
The
buying
answer
time
is
for how
no,
slowly.
because they're an amazing series of video games.
I don't have to say that anymore. I'm so glad I don't
I'm
have to
saying
say that
it
anymore.
for you. Because we know, Keith, you say what you mean, and you did say what you mean for a full year, that it's unbelievable for you to change your mind after 1 year of saying that Yakuza series is a series of marvelous video games. So I think, Keith, I don't believe you when you take that back, because you said it for a year, and I believe you.
Well, we can say the same about you and Bethesda sooner.
Yeah, that's true.
You walked right into that one, bitch.
Liam, I may
Sorry.
have a more extensive
I think I was
explanation later,
captured by
but
the Yakuza and tortured to say that Bethesda is a marvelous studio that makes the best video games of all time, and everyone knows I'm.
But yeah, Mitch, that's a fair point. I agree with you. But in the interest of time, Liam, I like we've also had the Judgment games take place in Kamurocho, and
Oh
then
yeah, that's true.
Yokohama, which is
I'll
also
be right
part of
back.
Yakuza 7. I would like to see. I've been there so many fucking times. It would be nice for them to place a game more extensively in a location that hasn't been done yet. We all love Kamurocho. We've been there a million times. It's nice to have this it's glad to be home type of thing, especially if you space out when you play the next game by a couple of years. But if you're playing them every single year, which is seems to be how they're releasing them, it would be nice to be like, there is no Kamurocho. It doesn't exist.
How about we blow
Brand new
up how
place.
about we blow
This is
up
where we're going.
Kamurocho?
It's surprising they haven't announced Yakuza 8 yet. Actually.
I'm happy with like the JRPG aspect of where they're going with this, and then with the Judgment series, they're going the more action based. That's totally fine, but like I've been to these places 9 times now, 10 maybe, depending on how many games you've played. So just give me a new location. Mix it up. Like Hokkaido was cool, Nagoya was cool, Fukuoka was awesome, and that's in part 5. And they did that all in one single game. Let's mix it up. There's plenty of places to go. Big or small city. Come on, like let's do it. They don't have the money to make games with such an expansive open world as a Watch Dogs or a GTA. You can make a more compartmentalized world and make several of them, right? Very small areas of several cities. But please include, selfishly, please include the city that I live in. That's it.
I've got another question for both of you. Do you think Keith would actually like Resident Evil 2 remake if he played it? Because I have a sneaking suspicion he might.
He hasn't played it. I figured that's something that he'd be all about.
Yeah, I thought so too. It just has that sort of B movie sort of schlock, and I think the gameplay's fun. I think he'd actually like it.
I think he'll hate.
Totally.
I think he'll hate Mr. X.
I hate everyone.
Mr. X.
Keith, what's yours?
I'm going to talk. Liam, what do you think I'm going to talk about?
Mass Effect.
No, you
Oh,
can't.
Mitch got there.
You can't.
I'm going to talk about
I
Mass
don't
Effect.
believe it. You disgusting person.
Great
Fuck
man.
you.
Actually, there's
Great
two
man.
games.
Great man. Come on,
Two
burn it
games
to the
I want
ground. Burn it like Bobby Kotick's golden parachute. Good job, New York City. Good job, New York.
Well,
Which Mass Effect does it?
well, I'll get there. First of all, I
Oh.
want to talk about another game that I absolutely love. Streets of Rage 4. Fabulous game. Totally, as we've spoken about on this show previously, totally ruined every other side-scrolling beat 'em up for me. I cannot play any other side-scrolling beat 'em up because they all just feel so slow, clunky,
Crappy.
archaic would be another word. And particularly one of my biggest nostalgia games of all time, Final Fight, can't play it anymore. Just feels off. The soundtrack still absolutely amazing. However, Streets of Rage 4, the netcode, shocking. I cannot play an online game on Streets of Rage 4. The netcode is that bad. Literally, you walk along. I tried this with Matt a couple of times, and I've tried it since. You literally start the game, you walk to the first transition, and the game freezes.
Jesus.
And that has happened every single time where I've tried to play online with absolutely anyone. The netcode is shocking. And all of you, Streets of Rage 4 is not that good a game. No one really cares about Streets of Rage 4. And fucking wanking yourselves off over the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Hopefully, the netcode isn't the same as the one they've used for Streets of Rage 4. Otherwise, your mutual masturbation sessions are going to be very lonely. That was somewhat graphic explanation, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wow. The children. Evan's
I
children.
I think of the children. Well, I'm not Roblox, so I do actually think of children and mark our episodes as for on age appropriate.
Ayo.
Yes, but I'm going to talk about Mass Effect, my most beloved video game franchise.
Clearly not.
Beloved of loved.
And I'm going to talk about the thing that I hate about it, which is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cop out. Cop out.
I
Such a
argue
freaking
you're
cop out.
slightly
That's
cheating.
That's
Yeah,
cheating.
that's cheating.
That's freaking cheating.
I will hear you out.
I will hear you out, but I think you're cheating.
Oh no, I feel a lot of people are going to disagree with him on this one.
How dare you? How very dare you say that I have gamed the topic?
You did not game the top. Well, yeah, you gamed it. I guess it's a hypocrite. I game
He
topics
totally
all
did.
the time. I game everything. Damn it.
Hey,
Okay.
we didn't set enough parameters. He's well within his rights
Son of a
to
bitch.
include this.
Well, I think his
as part
Well, I think he's not
of it, yeah.
wrong. I just think the way he verbed it as Mass Effect.
Verbalized.
Yeah, verbalized it as Mass Effect.
All
We
part
don't.
of the same franchise.
Andromeda is seen as the stepchild that is put astray, that needs to be taken out to pasture.
Well, and that's the reason why I hate it. It could have been so good. And I played that. I checked my stats, and I remember how long I played Mass Effect Andromeda for. 88 hours I played Mass Effect Andromeda for. I did everything, literally everything that you could possibly do. And the reason that I loathed that game because of what it did to the original franchise. It wraps up. They're so angry. There was they continued a storyline from Mass Effect 1 all the way through about people in Cerberus who were experimenting on humans with different alien technology and getting them to trying to splice DNA with different aliens and things like that. And they had these two people. It was the Overlord DLC. So it was when they were trying to create a human-based AI to control the Geth. This is where Mitch is tuning out, like I tuned out for Resident Evil.
No, I played Mass Effect Andromeda. I didn't finish it.
Did you play the DLC for Mass Effect 2?
Which one?
Overlord.
No,
It's the one with the hovercraft tanky thing.
Oh, I don't think so. I played the Shadow Broker, but I don't think I played the other one.
So in Overlord, they're trying to create a human-based AI that can control the Geth.
Mm-hmm.
And that started as a rumor on a data pad in Mass Effect 1. So they tried to carry it through into Andromeda, where there was two people who ended up on some random planet. I can't even tell you what its name is because it's that fucking forgettable. And you end up in a conversation with these people, and they were telling you about how they were part of the Overlord experiments. And I'm pretty sure in Mass Effect 2, I either killed everyone because I wanted to shut the experiments down because they were inhumane, or I brought them all on side so that we can control the Geth. But these two individuals who are meant to be part of those experiments do not reference anything that happened in Mass Effect 2 or 3 whatsoever. They were just there having a chat, and you can't interact with them at all afterwards. There are so many instances where they try to make links to the earlier franchises, and they just fall flat on their face. It's so annoying. Barring all of the bugs in the game, I can forgive a lot of the technical issues. What I can't forgive is the storytelling incompetency.
Keith, correct
I have
me
no
if I'm
strong
wrong.
feelings about it otherwise.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the ship, the Arks, take off for the Andromeda Galaxy before most of the events of Mass Effect 2?
Yes. Well, they're meant to.
Yeah. So they shouldn't even be on that ship.
Yeah. So if they
great
can
rule.
reference the fact that something happened in Mass Effect 2, they shouldn't know about it because they will have already gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Continuity error.
But don't worry, they included tons of diversity, and loads of gay characters, all of that stuff. Not to say we don't care about those things, but if you're going to celebrate the fact that you put those things in the game, maybe you should write the game a bit better before you put all those things in, because nobody will fucking remember it.
Right. Yeah.
It was.
This isn't.
Sorry, Evan. This is.
Oh, go ahead.
You, Matt, and I spent 2 hours basically dissecting Mass Effect
This
Andromeda
fucking game, man.
ages ago.
Yeah.
However many years ago it was, and it makes no sense in terms of the lore and the canon that's been built around the universe. So it's almost as if they've gone, here's all of the story and lore. Okay, we don't want pages 90 through 150, so we'll just tear those out and throw those away, and we'll rewrite all of that section about how the story and how biotics actually work in terms of their abilities and how they actually gain those abilities. We'll just tear all that out because we want people to have a fun time in the shooty bang bang game, and the shooty bang bangness is good. I like the shooty bang bangness, but did you have to tear all of the lore out to get to that point? I don't know. It's just such it's 88 hours. Well, what did I do to myself?
Yeah,
You were digging deep to try to.
You're trying to find justification, trying to say
answer.
this game is amazing. You're trying to find the reason, but you couldn't.
I think I was trying to find the point at which it recaptured me. It just never did. There were some absolutely spectacular set piece moments. I mean, people didn't find on the first planet the floaty snake thing, and that was if you did all of the there was a specific side quest where they wanted you to check seismic activity on the first planet that you land on, and if you did all of that, that's when you first encountered one of the floaty snake creatures that you had to fight. And that was actually a really, really clever set piece moment. But if you didn't do that and you just went to another planet, there was just one that was there. You're just thinking, okay, where do these come from? What's the point of them? The whole point was that you should have done the first side quest. And that goes back to a bit about what Mitch was talking about on Resident Evil. The signposting by the game developers should have been that much more. That this should have been a main quest. This shouldn't have been an optional side quest. This should have been something that is actually keenly important to what happens on all of the other planets that you are going to visit. But instead, they relegated to a skippable side quest. I don't want to end up in another 2-hour podcast talking about Mass Effect Andromeda, but I believe firmly that I fulfilled the criteria of the topic.
Let's check that, shall we? I mean, you guys can have your own interpretation, but let me read. So we're hating, in brackets, on what we love. That's the title. But there's extra explanation here. Our favourite game or games of all time. Sure, we think they are perfect, but it's time to be honest. All games have issues, and we need to look deep inside and admit that one thing that sucks about them. One thing that sucks about them.
So you're saying, wait, so Keith doesn't meet the criteria then?
I don't think he meets the criteria.
Because he's going the opposite. He's going the thing that hates the game more.
It's not one of your favorite games, Keith. So you
can't pick that.
Yeah.
Okay, then. In Mass Effect 3, it's a bit weird that you're on a timed suicide mission, but you can go off for 60 hours and go do other stuff. There you go.
So basically what you're saying is we've had to endure revisiting Mass Effect Andromeda just because you got the...
So we revisit this trauma because he wants to put the trauma upon us, not because it was worth the topic.
Wow.
Keith, side note, you ready for this? Due to the delay of Breath of the Wild 2 out of 2021, 2022. I have decided to take Mario Rabbids, my alternate, and put it in its place for Breath of the Wild as one of my alternate. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry. I want Starfield in that spot for my alternate pick.
Okay.
And then if
Can you please send me a message because I will not remember this.
Well, I'm only saying it here because I want it on the record so that
On
people
the record.
And then I already have a plan if Redfall is supposed to come out this summer, but I have no idea if it's even coming. Because
I think that could be the big blowout thing. Starfield and Redfall could be the two blowout things for the Xbox Bethesda showcase.
That's why I'm holding back. So if Redfall drops, I'll put Mario Rabbids in that spot because you never said anything that we can't put games that aren't Microsoft alternatives in our alternates positions. So
no, it was unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
So yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I don't want to put Starfield there because if I had to share it with Dan and Burkoff, I'd have to share points, and I don't want to share points.
Yes, you would.
So strategy, game of the game.
Mitch is the only one who actually takes any of the games we do seriously. Everyone else is kind of, whatever. Yeah. And that's why he wins. Come on, people. Sort yourselves out.
And that's why everyone is always upset. It's like...
thanks to Erebus Jones for winning the fantasy game, our fantasy league last year, and meaning that Mitch's most anticipated game of 2022 is Starfield.
No, it is it is Redfall. Because that's from Bethesda.
That's not a Bethesda game.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
it's an Arcane Studios game, isn't it?
It's Arcane Studios.
Oh, never mind. That's not from Bethesda. That's from the other two. Dang it.
Does anyone else I have nothing bad to say about any of the Mass Effect trilogy except that 3 is how they phrase 3 is odd in the sense that it's meant to be time centric.
Yeah, I think I think the premise of 3 is flawed. Is blatantly flawed in what the gameplay is and how the game functions as a game overall. Just the plot of 3 does not make sense in the functionality of the game itself.
Ooh. Yeah. Also, is it Talon? Who's the
Talia?
Tai Long. Tai Long. That's the one. His story could have been fleshed out much better. And it only really got...
if you buy the comic books.
And if you buy the novels and the comic books, it was. However, in the game, he's a bit shit as a boss.
I hate that shit. Anyway.
Also, it's interesting that you you can only get a Promethean, which actually makes the game way more fascinating if you have the DLC. And you pre-ordered it. You had to pre-order it.
Sorry, I've just remembered something else a bit shit about Mass Effect 3. Jessica Jobot.
Wow.
That character is utterly pointless.
Except to be eye candy for Joker.
But she kind of looks hideous at the same time. Doesn't she?
Yeah,
it's kind of hideous. Like in a weird sort of doesn't look right.
Plasticky way.
Yeah.
And on that note.
Plastic Jessica Jobot.
It's like you put her in the washing machine, but it's just take care of that.
Oh no. I'm guessing just the tech wasn't there yet to make
She was a very big personality at IGN at the time, and I think she was a massive Mass Effect fan. And they brought her in and gave her a character as this news reporter to help build your... I can't remember what the name is.